Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mundane Matt. And, listen, here's the thing. I support our boys in blue. I support officers. I think they have a very, very, very difficult task out there with trying to police the streets in the best way possible. And I do feel that the overwhelming majority of officers are good, decent people. And yes, there are complete cocknozzles out there that do ruin it for everybody else. But to be fair, that same thing can be said for literally any demographic out there, period, right? You can't label everyone with a broad brush. You do have to take things on a case-by-case basis. However, as much as I do support the police and what they attempt to do in this country, there are some things that I am not 100% on board with. And that's actually Louisiana's Blue Lives Matter law that went into effect just recently. Now, this particular law essentially says that any perpetrators that resist arrest can be charged with a hate crime against officers. And the reasoning for it does actually make sense. They say that the reasoning for it is so that perpetrators will think twice about resisting arrest, that they'll just let it be handled in court, because that way they won't be charged with a hate crime on top of resisting arrest, which then comes with it greater charges and more serious charges and things like that. Again, on paper, it makes absolute sense. It's like, yeah, you're going to kind of treat it like it's a deterrent. You're going to try to go, hey, listen, if you resist me, I'm going to charge your ass with the fucking hate crime. And then you're going to have a lot more time in jail or a lot stiffer punishment. So you might as well just kind of come peacefully. And then this way, it's going to be a little bit easier for you on the back end. Like I said, on paper, it feels legit. It feels more legit. In practice, however, oh boy, that is some power I don't want cops a wielding, right? Because look, resisting arrest is dumb. It is. It's absolutely dumb. Perpetrators should know not to do it. But at the same time, when someone's committing a crime, usually, or on the run from the cops, or whatever, their adrenaline is spiked. They don't have a lot of control over every facet of their body, especially if they're younger. All right, they haven't learned to control themselves during that rush of adrenaline, and it's just the human anatomy. All right, and as a result of that, if they are not in full control and their body just kind of spazzes out and they strike an officer accidentally and that wasn't their intent, they can then be charged with a hate crime. And I don't really think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. You might disagree with me and that's totally fine, but I just don't think that's fair. I don't think a law like this should be kind of generally applied. We do need to redefine what hate crime is, I think, like just recently with that 19-year-old or 18-year-old white kid in Chicago being tortured live on Facebook, and those people being charged with a hate crime. That makes sense because they were doing something that was racially motivated. And going after an officer, at least in that regard, is not something that is racially motivated or religiously motivated or anything like that. I just think that calling it a hate crime does a disservice to other hate crimes that are like way more severe. And again, like I said, on paper, it makes sense, right? It does. On paper, it makes sense. It's like on paper, communism makes sense. Like, oh yeah, no, I understand what they're trying to say there. But in practice, it won't work. It can't work. And they're already trying that in Louisiana, and they're hoping that it will be a deterrent, and I just don't think it's going to. If I'm running from the cops, which I've done before multiple times for stupid, dumb shit when I was a teenager, if I was ever busted, and I was a couple times, when they say freeze, you don't run. Okay, you don't turn towards the officer and make a move for him or nothing like that, because shit will get crazy quick. But those are like different kinds of situations. I don't know. I mean, I just find the whole thing to be completely unnecessary. But in Louisiana, I kind of get why it happened. All right, there was the officers that were shot and killed after the Alton Sterling shooting incident. After all the protests in Baton Rouge, they very much want to protect the lives of the officers. Of course, with like what happened in Dallas last year, those kind of responses, legally speaking, do make sense. But I really think that like the citizens of Louisiana should stop and kind of go, is this the right thing to do? Should we allow for this form of punishment to go forward, like uncontested? Should we allow for citizens to be charged with a hate crime because they resisted arrest? I don't know, man. That to me kind of, it's coming off a wee bit authoritarian, and it's not in a good way. Although authoritarianism never really is a good thing, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. It's just it's a little creepy, a little creepy. But I do want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think that this kind of law will actually deter people from committing crimes in the future once they're aware that it exists? Do you think that cops will overuse it and use it as a way to bust anyone that they catch, and just claim resisting arrest and claim a hate crime, and then get that person charged with a greater fine or greater jail time, further putting that person into the for-profit prison system in this country? Do you think that this is just another way to get minorities off the street? These are valid questions, and I would very much like to know your answers, so please write them down in the comments below. And if you support something like this too, tell me why you support it, because I really want to know why you think that labeling someone who resists arrest or charging them with a hate crime is going to work in anyone's favor outside of the state collecting fines those kind of crimes produce.